Hello, Tom Levecchia here with the latest edition of the Armchair MBA live. Well, actually not live, but recorded, or going to be recorded in the great city of Atlanta. I got a great guest today who's calling in from a remote location, Frank Fiordilino, part two. Frank, welcome to the Armchair MBA. How you doing today?
Hey, Tom. Good. Yourself?
Well, did I say your name right? Because I always mess it up.
Fiordilino. And in Italian, it's pronounced Fiordilino, like del.
Fiordilino. Yeah. Perfect. Okay, perfetto. Okay, so we're gonna jump right in. For those that didn't see part one, I'm gonna put a link below that kind of gives his backstory. But there was a lot of questions that people had. We're gonna go through some questions today. Go through some stuff. It's not gonna be a super long one. We're gonna keep it organic. But Frank, I want to jump in with the first question. So,
sure.
For a while, after kind of what was it? Prior to what's his name, Joe Pistone, and then even after the Bonannos were kind of a little bit of state of disarray, right? You had Galante, and then you had Pistone come in, but Messino came in and made the Borgata strong. So I want to know, when you came in, what was kind of like the state of the Bonanno Borgata, and then what did it do to build strength specifically above and beyond what we see on TV?
I think So Joe was in prison in 1986. So okay. Sal kind of was his eyes and ears on the outside.
Okay.
And they had the backing of the very strong at the time Gambino family.
Okay.
So that kind of helped out. It helped out a lot. And little by little, Sal was doing what he needed to do to keep his brother-in-law happy while he was in jail. And when his brother-in-law came out, by then, John was gone, and Joe had gotten a lot of respect from the other families. And at that time, a lot of people were taking hits too. The Lucchese family took hits with Vic Amuso.
Yes.
Obviously, the Gambino family with John.
Yes.
The Genovese family was starting to take a hit with the chin.
Yeah.
And who else am I missing? The Colombo family, they were just going nuts.
Yeah, they were in the war.
If anybody looked like they had it together at the time, it was definitely the Bonanno family. Joe comes out in 92 and 93. And it seemed like the only people that had it together was him. He was starting to put on new protocols, the clubs, keep it to a minimal. The bullshit he was trying to ease, and it looked like he was doing a good job at the time.
Now, we know, like, again, for those that don't know, you either close or limited the social club interaction. I think he said no. He didn't like weddings and funerals as well, right?
Yeah, he put somewhat of it depends on whose wedding, whose funeral it was. It was like anything else. It was hypocritical. If the guy was no longer in the life, nobody went to the fucking funeral.
Yeah.
If it was somebody who had kids that were still around, yeah, they'll go to the funeral. Like my uncle, for example, he died in 2000. Guys came.
Got it. Now, The other part is, I always look at like the strategy, not just say he did this and this, but what was his overall strategy? Like, it looked like there was, at that point, no informants. It looked like he kind of like strategically opened the books. What are some of the specific strategic moves he made, and how did it affect you on the street as an associate?
It didn't affect me at all because I really didn't have much interaction with him.
Got it.
When I fucked up, what I would do if something fucked up, I would worry about it, because if it did, ruffle feathers, I was low in the totem pole. If anybody was going to get one, I got lucky. I had family and all that.
Yeah.
I got more lucky than other people. With the shit I was pulling, I mean, I shot somebody in front of a social club. Then I had one other social club closed down because I killed somebody in it. If it was somebody else,
these aren't small things, Frank. Wow.
Yeah, well, no, I wasn't. I was in over my head. I just didn't think I was going to make it to 30. I just was set on that.
Yeah.
So, I got lucky. A lot of people went to bat for me. I mean, and it definitely wasn't my uncle. I think he got sick of me after a while too.
Now, the guy you shot in front of the social club, was he a wise guy or just a civilian?
Who was he? He was a heroin. He got arrested in a heroin case back in the day. It was over a car. It was over a stolen car. And yeah. He gave me an answer I didn't like, so I just plugged one in him.
Now, did that cause like 20 sit downs, or you had a little bit of a stronger people speaking up for you?
Yeah, it caused shit. Of course it did. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You were doing it in front of the coffee shop across the street. Whose coffee shop that was. Coincidentally, the guy who had the coffee shop became the guy was around secondly, and he kind of like I guess he had he kind of liked me, in a roundabout way.
Got it. Now, but that's my point. The reason why I wanted to know how effective is an associate, the stronger the brigada, right? The stronger.
Matter of fact, that guy I shot drove himself to the hospital. He was so fucked up. I guess the drugs acted as an anesthetic. I'm not laughing at it. It's not funny, all right? I'm sorry.
Shouldn't laugh.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like some people. It's all you kids listening, I don't give a shit. But
nobody under 28 is listening to me. Trust me. So
right.
And hopefully by then they have the life straightened out. But here's my question though, Frank. Did he drive to the hospital in that stolen car you were fighting over?
No. It was a Porsche. It was a Porsche Carrera, and it was fucking there was these Yugoslavian kids I used to hang out around. They used to steal a lot of cars.
Yeah.
And one of them stole this Porsche Carrera, and I had told him I want that car.
Yeah.
So this guy thought he'd go over my head to go to this kid Fabio and give him the car, which pissed me off even more. When I asked him what happened to the car, he said I gave it to Fabio. Like, you could go talk to Fabio, which is Paul, at the time my friend Paul's nephew. I said, I ain't talked to Fabio. You talked to fucking Fabio, and I shot him.
Yeah.
And he drove himself. I took another shot, but it jammed, and he ended up driving him. Yeah, I was pissed. And
was that the Fabio that was from the Bath Avenue boys that was made with the bananas?
No, different. That's Fabrizio.
Fabrizio, my bad.
He was made as well.
Got it.
Yeah, Fabrizio you're talking about. This is Fabio who flipped. He brought in everybody. And he flipped. He went down. He had 5 bodies on him. He decided to talk.
Yikes!
So
now
he went that way.
What happened who you killed in the social club? Was that a beef or what happened there?
Nah, I'd rather not get into that.
Okay, no worries. No, you've been great with your stuff. I mean, our deal was certain things you can talk about, certain things you can't.
I'll tell you about the politics behind it, though. It was a social club. They had to close it down. Obviously, it was a fucking mess.
Yeah.
And I went to a sit down for it.
Of course.
I'm sorry?
I was saying, of course. I figured at least that would happen.
Well, my accomplice owned the social club, and they asked him, and he kind of like put it on me.
Oh.
And I was like, yeah, like he would act it on his own, which wasn't true. So he came with his guy, and I came with my guy at the time, who was my uncle. I'm not going to mention his guy because he's still alive.
Yeah.
And we talked about it, and it was like, they just, the narrative was different. When the guy came there, it wasn't about drugs. It was about bonds.
Got it.
And I guess he didn't want to tell him the actual motive behind the murder. And I picked that up right away, and I agreed with it because if my uncle would have found out it was drugs, I not only had problems already, I would have bigger fucking fish,
Well, here's the thing, though. So listen,
bigger extra hatch.
So here's the thing, though, right? Like let's be honest. Even like in the '90s, although the '90s were so crazy, you obviously were a capable guy, and you were ready to shoot when you needed to shoot, right? So
yeah.
So but you also were around a lot of guys, weren't you? Like, cause you're a smart guy, right? I talk to you, we get to know each other.
It depends who you ask, but yeah.
But here's my point, though. Like, weren't you thinking to yourself, listen, I got to fight a little straight, because I want to get that stripe, or you didn't care about the stripe?
Oh man, oh shit! By that, God, so that's funny you say that. I really didn't care. They were making guys who freaking were just basically couldn't fight their way out of a paper bag.
Yeah.
So I was kind of getting bitter. I really didn't care. I didn't think I was going to make it out of the streets. I thought I'd either be in dead or in jail. So after that murder, I go on the lam.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I'm trying to answer that question for you.
Got
My
it.
uncle says, you need to fucking go.
Yeah.
I said, okay, well, hey, Dad, that's good.
Yeah.
So I left. By the time I came back, and my friends within that 7 to 8 months time were robbing banks, robbing fucking pet shops, having shootouts with armed fucking cars.
Jeez.
Yeah, robbing everything, donut shops, fucking some chick got shot in the stomach.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'll get into that. That is fucking, it was horrible. It was terrible. Fucking real low life thing to do. I come back and I find them just going crazy.
Wow.
And you know, they robbed the same fucking bank in 2 weeks. They got 200,000 each time. It was like one of those things on Heat. Well, it was an inside job. They knew when, you know, they went at that time. They knew how much money there was. 2 bank tellers got locked up for it. And they'd have dummy cars and other cars, go in there in the daylight with AK-47. It was just going into the fucking.
When you boost like 200K, right? And your group of associates, how much?
Who gets that money?
Yeah, how much?
No. My friends weren't mobsters. My friends were gangsters.
Yeah.
That money, you know who had that money? Atlantic City. The Joker poker machines, a couple of strip clubs, nightclubs.
Yeah, but these guys that were gangsters in the street pulling those kind of heists, they
were young. Well, they were
from a local wise guy saying, "Hey, where's my cut?"
The wise guys did not want to cut of that money.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, they I just robbed a bank. You want this money? Unless it was a brokester. They're like, I don't even want to hear that shit. Don't even tell me that.
Good point. Well, it's federal.
I just robbed 4 kilos off a drug dealer. When you want to go half, they'll kick you right the fuck out.
All right. So want to get back on track here. So okay. So at that point, and people are I'm gonna crap for this in the comments. There was a period that Messino was starting to be strong again. Remember, at this point, there was no Pinti.
He was strong.
Yeah, but was almost rivaling even in numbers and strength of even the West Side at that time. So I want to know, like, did that strength kind of go unnoticed, or were the other families, kind of picking up on it, and you guys were allowed to maybe walk out with a little bit more of a puffed chest? I just want to know what happened.
No, it was very noticeable. I mean, I put it this way: if the media knew about it,
yeah.
So did everybody else. He was all over the papers. There was one article. I think he was in jail during the time. We both were in jail together.
Yeah.
And it said the last Don.
Yes.
And because within law enforcement and even in the families, when Gigante went in, he was the guy. He was the top gangster left.
Yeah.
On that position.
Yeah.
Sure. It was unnoticed, not at all. Joe ran the city for a bit.
Yeah.
He was the guy.
Now, whenever, and again, you may not know this, but with Bonanno's, when you hear numbers, right, on the outside, because I'm an outsider, I hear 120, but I hear as high as 200. At its peak, do you have an idea what the numbers were?
No.
Okay.
No, I could say I knew at least 80, 90 of them, though.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah.
All right. So just a few questions.
Easy.
Yeah, just a few questions that people have. Because it'll be a quicker one. Who were some of the people in your era that you were close with that wound up getting their button?
And they're still active.
Anybody that maybe got their button but not active now.
They're mostly all. I could say this.
Yeah.
I could say this. One of them used to be my real good friend. Two of them actually used to be real tight with. 2 of them are my cousins, and they got made while I was out. Believe it or not, one of them did not. And altogether, there's about a good 8 of them. I mean, it's not hard to find out. You find out Ridgewood, Giannini crew, or people who hung out in that area, and you'll know who they are.
Got it. And
it's they're active. I don't want to give them fucking problems.
No, true. And then when you were in the street, though, was these guys getting made? It's almost like everybody's getting engaged. Where you're single, were you kind of like, wow, these guys are getting made, and I'm friends with these guys, maybe it can get me in? Or were you a little salty because you're like, anybody with a vowel is getting their mate?
No. I was happy for them.
Yeah.
I was happy for them. There was one in particular, I was really happy for a friend of mine. We were good friends, and he wanted that. Now looking back, I mean, he's an intelligent guy too. He was really intelligent, and out of that whole group that got made, that shouldn't have got made because their father was just that. I didn't feel that. I think he would have been a great. At the time, that's what he wanted, and I'd be honest with you, it was a good fit for him. He was no slouch, even though people think, well, his father was good. No. If he had to get down, he would have got down.
Got it.
I mean, he went to NYU. He was also sharp too. He was not a stupid guy at all.
So it looks
not like Richard Cantarella's son. Fucking, couldn't do a day in jail.
Yeah. Well, he flipped too, right? The son flipped as well, right?
I think he flipped like in 2 days.
Got it.
Now, the third day, it was horrible.
Got it. Now, there's a question/comment, a comment/question. Giannini crew was very tough, like you said. Most of the guys had fathers and family that were straight bosses, and also they were kind of big into dope money. They bring up Asa Yellow, who was really young and still tall. So I guess the question with the comment was, how powerful, even though it was from multiple families, how powerful was the Giannini crew?
As powerful as the people behind them. I mean, I don't know, powerful. You know one thing about them, I don't think we were powerful. But I'll tell you what, we stuck together. And it didn't matter who was on the corner at that. If I was walking down the block and Paul was down the block and he came down, he goes, "What's the matter? Come on, let's go." We get in the car and we go do it.
Yeah.
We were sporadic.
Got it.
I don't know about it. We wouldn't back down. I mean, what the fuck?
Yeah.
We've taken beatings and we've given them.
Just like anything, right? So
yeah.
So we kind of touched on it, but I don't know if it's like super known. We can only guess. With Cesar Bonventre, Cesare Bonventre, Messino had him killed, right? Was that literally because he was too rising of a star, or did he have something on him?
No. He was rising up. I think Caesar adapted the Carmine Galante attitude of they wouldn't dare to kill me. That's why he probably went to that meeting. He probably figured he didn't take them as seriously as he should have. That's why the reason behind it, according to Sal Battalion and Joe, was that he disrespected Rusty. I'd gotten it. That's when Sal flipped. We were all in jail, and that's the story that came out. And
Rusty's wife was nuts, right?
I'm sorry?
Rusty's wife, she was nuts. She shot somebody or something, right?
I don't know. That was way before my time. She was nuts. So never got those papers.
So we got a question from a viewer. And again, you don't have the answers if you don't know. Did you know Nicholas PJ Pisciotti?
No.
Okay, and then he flipped on that. I think he flipped as well.
Right. No, I didn't know.
All right, this is going to be a hypothetical because I'm not expecting you to know it's hypothetical. But when the Inzarellos had beef over here because supposedly Arena was going to like wipe them out over here. Supposedly John Gambino flew back to Corleone and met with Totorina and saved those guys' life over here in the U.S. This is maybe more your opinion. Did John Gambino really have that kind of weight to sit down with Totorina?
Yeah. I mean, I would think so. Yeah, sure. If he had the weight to talk to him. Now that if that happened, I don't know.
Yeah. Got it.
Yeah. Why not?
The guys that were over here, and always I couldn't make the connection. The guys that were over here.
You see what it is? The media and people make these people larger than life that when they hear somebody, I talked to this guy, they're like, what? Oh, I mean, if they know you, they're going to talk to you.
But so that was my point. So the Bonanno is here, right? And we go back to Castellamarse and all these different areas. But the Bonannos were here. That pipeline, who they were dealing in Sicily, it wasn't the Corleonesi, right? It was still Castellamarse. We spoke this
Castellamarse what?
Castellamarse, sorry. So where you were
Castellamarese, yeah.
Castellamarese, that's right. So you guys that were over here, did you still deal with people Castellamarse, or did you guys deal with the Corleonesi that was kind of?
No, I was in the Corleonesi. It was the old Palermo regime there. I used the word regime. I hated it.
Okay.
Portate and Manzarellos. There's the other Montana man over there in the other little towns. That's
Got it.
that's who they were dealing with.
Got it.
That's what the Coglianese wanted. You understand that money.
So the war was over, the pipeline, and then the guys that over here, I'm guessing when all those guys died, whoever was still remaining, the court, you were almost forced to probably deal with the guys from Corleone, correct?
You kind of were supposed to, but didn't happen that way.
Got it.
There was other people that set up shop other places, which I don't want to get into.
No, I hear you.
No, not because I it's just because it might be something coming up for me.
I got it. No.
And another show.
Listen, every second you're on, it's a pleasure. Got a few more questions. I want to get back to your espresso or scotch, whatever you're drinking tonight. So the other thing is the Bonanno family is starting to get strong, and sorry, I had to do a quick pause. So with Messino again getting strong, the Regatta is getting strong, rivaling other families, the last on, all that stuff. When did the crack started? Obviously, when the captains rolled and people started rolling after that, even Sal Vitale as a boss. But prior to that, what were some of the cracks that you seen about when you were on the street, or I don't know if you were away at the time, but what are some of the cracks you've seen before the crash of the Bonannos?
I didn't see, but I seen him in jail, and I'll tell you why. I was part of the first indictment of that operation.
Okay.
To take down the Bonannos, and there was 14 of us.
Oh, wow.
And I got superseded in that case in June, but the first 12 were arrested on my birthday, March 19th, and I got arrested on June 19th. So the first guys, the top guys on that indictment were TG, Casaletto, his son-in-law, TG's son-in-law, Hector.
Oh, wow.
And I'm trying to remember, both Grimaldis, obviously.
So they went after
Fiordilino got superseded. He was doing 8 years, and he got superseded on a murder on that case. And me and him were the only ones with murders on that first indictment.
Oh, wow. And then
so they try to flip guys to bring other guys in. They're going through a domino effect. And then the second indictment comes in. That's in 2002. I always thought it was 2003 for some reason. That's October. And they bring in the Canarellos. And they supersede Frank Copa. It means they weren't whoever they arrested first wasn't talking, so they weren't getting nowhere. They're gonna try again. That's it. Now we have 40 co-defendants, and that's where the crack happens. If they break Canarello down and they break Copa down,
which really quick, if you could, it's not a small thing. Like people are like, well, Copa and Canarello flipped. Give a little bit about who these guys were, because it's not a small thing.
All right, so Canarello had 2 murders, and I think the Perino murder of the Post was the one that brings Sal Vitale in. That's the key one you got to remember, the one that brings Sal Vitale in.
Yeah.
And the other murder is the Sonny Black murder, which brings Joe in eventually. Yeah. But they didn't bring Joe in. They brought Sal in first. And he got indicted on the Perino murder. And I'm pretty sure Canarello also had the Anthony Mira murder too.
Got it.
Don't quote me on that. It's been such a long time.
Yeah, of course. 30 years ago.
I'm surprised I even remember this.
Yeah.
So they take in Vitale. The Vitale breaks. So at that point, there was Cantarello and Copa, they flipped. They're the first main guys in the Bonanno family, in the history of the Bonanno family, ever to flip.
Ever, yeah.
And in between that, there's Joe D'Amico, that's Canarello's cousin, that says, fuck, if Canarello's talking, I better get a deal quick. He didn't even get arrested. He was knocking on the door. Rumor was that he busted the TA's office down to start talking. And that's Joey D'Amico. And I know, and I'm watching this shit, too.
Yeah.
I'm like, look at these fucking people. I want to be like that.
Well, hold on. The other part is, and this is what I understand, you tell me if I'm wrong. Copa, aside from being a wise guy, was a very wealthy individual. Like these guys were very wealthy men. So, which is good and bad. Good where you get good defense, good where you get more resources, bad, they have a lot more to lose. So do you think money came into play for flipping for these guys?
I'm sorry. Were they? Were they what?
Like I heard with Copa and Cantarella, part of the reason why they flipped is for the first time the FBI was going after people's money, and when they started going after
No. Copa was saying in a roundabout way. This is what I heard with Frank Lino when Frank Lino, before he flipped as well, because so many of them flipped, told me he didn't have it in him to do 5 more years. He was out in Fort Dix. He was doing time. He was over. He's a big man. He's about close to 400 pounds, and that was his reason behind that. Cantarella's reason, I don't know. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. They said that he wanted to spare his son the bullshit and his wife and all that. If it was him, he would have did it himself. I don't know. Whatever. But his son didn't want to do no time.
Got it.
And then like I said, then there's Joe D'Amico that Cantarella had dirt on him, mud on him. He flipped too. So now you got 3 big guys that are talking, and they bring in Sal, who was disgruntled with his brother-in-law at the time or whatever fucking reason.
Yeah.
He kind of like shelved him, treated him like he was kind of getting jealous of him actually.
Oh wow.
And he was disrespecting him, and he flipped. He flipped, I think, in 2 weeks.
Really? On his own brother-in-law?
Yeah.
Wow.
And he brought in everybody.
Yeah. And then what happened was when Sal flipped, he was married to Messina's sister, correct?
No. Messina's wife is Sal's sister.
That's what I'm saying. Messina's wife. Oh,
It's Sal's
Messina's
sister.
wife is Sal's sister. Oh, so
Correct.
I got it. Okay. And then okay. So Sal flips. Pretty much it becomes a house of cards, and now the gun is pointing towards Messina. When did you decide to join the government's team, if you will?
I told you 6 days before trial.
Wow, that like so like
I was getting ready. I was getting ready to get my clothes. You know, when you go to trial, you gotta get your clothes.
Yeah,
They bring you your clothes.
Yeah, you shower up.
And I was ready to bring my clothes, and I told you the 2 rat lawyers I had basically were like, listen, they told me to talk. I said, all right, what do you want? And they entertained, and it was all about what fucking gambling. So you want me to? All right, let me think about it. Reality was setting in.
Yeah, without getting in any trouble, if you can't speak to this, because we're going to talk the other side of the fence now. There's a lot of stuff out there now. Maybe new trials may come out because a lot of these podcasts, all that kind of stuff. My one question though is there's a theme that some people believe that our good old government, the DOJ, is not always above board in these dealings and kind of does some shady pool. Has the government always been stand up with you, or you might have felt you've gotten the short?
Yes, no, I can't speak bullshit. I mean, what the fuck? They didn't have to. They're not the ones who brought the Bonanno family down. The Bonanno family brought the Bonanno family down.
Good point.
They didn't. How much investigating did they do?
Good point.
People were knocking on their door. It wasn't like back in the day when they had one guy, so they kind of like went on one ear. If they felt that you were bullshit or something like that, okay, next.
Yeah, but that's what
they were gonna. They were ready, and they did a great job. They broke down. They started with a paper trail on Cantarella.
Yes.
They flipped some Jewish guy he used to deal with.
Yes.
They were real. I'm not tooting their horn, but they fucking did a hell of a job.
Yeah. Well, the
Bonanno squad did.
Well, they had forensic accountants go in, and they didn't need forensic accountants. The guy was cutting checks to Messina's wife directly, which was, for the parking garages. So like, it wasn't even like as smart as Messina was and covering his tracks. He had a lot of exposure on the financial front too.
Familiarity provokes contempt. You know that. You start getting too fucking lazy, and it's just the nature of the beast. You got to remember, these guys, that's what they do for a living, 24/7.
Good point. Now,
we got to go to work. We got to do this. We got to maintain our fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
We're too busy trying to people, making us look like we're gangsters. We want to be photographed. I mean, come on.
Now,
and I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about you know how the American gangsters.
True. Now, what's crazy is there was literally nobody like for the Bonanno family entire lineage, and they were even caught on tape, Messina and those guys saying we have no turncoats. We are strong. And this brigada was very strong at the time. They were making H money. They were making, Messina was bringing it strong. That, probably making hundreds of millions if you really think about it across the whole Brigada. And then people started dropping like flies. My question to you is, of that group, I mean, there's a lot of names. Who were you shocked that flipped, including Messino? Who were you like when they flipped? You were like, holy F. I'm done. I'm out. Like, that's it. I'll salute, call it a day.
I expect a Vitali flip.
Okay.
Fuck. That's a good question. Probably Franklino.
Okay.
Yeah, probably Franklino.
Why?
I'll tell you why too. I mean, he was involved. You remember that lawyer back in the jail system? He killed a cop in the '60s, but Jerry the Jew.
Yes. Heard of it. Yes.
He was a jailhouse lawyer. Got people out on writs and everything, and he even turned convictions, whatever, appeals.
Yeah.
But he could never get himself out. Back in the day, Frank knew where Jerry was hiding, and they took him into the precinct. And the reason why he blinks is because they banged his head on a radiator. You know that he blinks all the time. You ever see Franklino? And they beat his ass for about 8 hours. You know, and he never flipped. So
wow.
He I think he was probably who was he angry? He was angry at somebody. When I think it was Frank. He had a grudge against Joe Messino. I felt they actually got into a fight in the co-defendant meeting. You know that?
Really?
Yeah, it was like two old men fighting. Joe put him in a headlock. You know?
Oh crap! You learn something new every day. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. We talked about like the rise. We talked about them being strong. But generally, like if all these guys flip with the organization, like with the systemic issue, right? Do you think it was more like you said, external, whether the FBI and the feds just did their job great, or do you think?
Of course it was.
Or maybe he didn't run it the right way near the end, where people like screw this, I'm out. Like, was it more the?
No. I said this meant no. It's time. They don't want to do time. That's what it is.
Got it. Pretty straightforward. Yeah.
You know, everybody's always got a fucking reason. You know, I've talked about this on Michael Hollis' show.
Yeah.
You know, people cooperate, always have you know, this guy was, didn't give me enough money. This guy was, robbing me. You know, he wanted me dead. That's the other one too. What's another reason people need to be just, they killed my best friend.
Yeah.
So the only way I could get back with him is no, you were looking at a lot of time, be honest.
Yeah. And then at that point, you're 6 days before trial. You said, screw it, you throw in the towel, which makes sense, right? Makes sense, especially at that point.
Yeah. Well, if I would have had a tough time in life if I knew I put somebody away for a long time.
Yeah.
I've talked about that. I'm not rationalizing. I'm not.
Yeah.
I know I would never wear a fucking wire. That's for damn sure. Yeah. Matter of fact, I was kidding around with an FBI agent one time. I said, certain FBI agent, we can't call you. You know, it's professional. Those are not friendships. Those are professional relationships.
Yeah.
And so why didn't you ever fucking come on the street and talk to me about it? You know, he said, because you would have told me to go fuck myself. I said, you're right.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah, I've been interrogated on a murder for fucking 15 hours. I just didn't. I was different mind frame. Mind frame completely.
Yeah. Now.
Yeah, that wire thing, and you know, it's kind of freaking sickening considering he wore a wire. That fat fuck wore a wire.
Yeah. Well,
you know, after all the damage he done, he could have went out a legend, but they were probably laughing at him in the other room while they were dressing him up.
I was gonna say,
like, look at this shit.
But what I don't get though,
high fiving, you know?
Yeah. But what I don't get is you obviously testified against Messino, but you had very little dealing with him. What was your role, like, to provide like context? Like, what was your role for the feds in that trial?
Structure. I would have to say structure. I didn't put the case together, but I mean, looking back, yeah.
Now, you know? After he did flip, not to rationalize, but after he flipped, I'm assuming you don't feel so bad about that one, no?
No, I didn't. But I wasn't going back to my neighborhood either. I was freaking labeled already, you know. Fucking, I got the I got the lashing from my mother, God rest her soul, and this and that. I pretty much knew where I was with in my family. It was over.
Wow. Did you get to
But
reconcile?
that's
Yeah. Well, go
did I
ahead.
get to reconcile?
Yeah, did you get to
Did I get to?
reconcile with your mom before she passed?
Yeah, I mean, but it was always cold.
Yeah.
It was conversation. Oh, how you doing? I'm fine.
Mm,
Okay, all right. I'll talk to you later. You know, she died a year after.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Was your father around?
But
Your father died young,
no,
right?
my dad died in '96.
Okay. Okay. Wow. That's tough. Sorry to hear about that. And then
Huh.
Josh's gonna go back.
Happened.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm so excited to keep jumping in. All right. So at that point, you have the Messino thing and you move on. And then how much time passed before you get called for the second trial?
Year and a half.
Oh,
They
wow.
say, hey, we might think about you on the ball. I said, why? You know, that was tough. We talked about that on the last
Yeah.
episode. That's the toughest thing I probably had to do as far as being a cooperator.
You were free and clear after that point, correct?
I wasn't free and clear. My mind I was, but not as far as like, once you tell, you tell. I mean, it's not like I had that in the back of my mind all the time,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. It is. You go into these units and you look around and you talk to somebody, and then you realize that everybody in that fucking room told on somebody.
Yeah.
And it went against everything I ever, grew up on. And, I don't want to rationalize this guy told on somebody who's doing life. This guy told on somebody who's doing that much. This guy's telling that. But, at the end of the day, everybody just told. You tell. You tell for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 years. You tell.
So it's like you can't be a little pregnant. You're either like kind of
right. I said in regards to somebody who I don't want to mention. I don't want to mention because it's not my business. You talk to the feds for 30, 40 minutes. You talk to them. You got to live with that.
Good point. Who?
I said it one time. I said, just because you take it, if you take it in the butt for 15 minutes, you might not like it, but you're gay. You're not wrong with that, but you're still gay.
I thought if you said no homo, it's okay. Just kidding. I saw that. All right. So
ask Vito.
Oh, Jesus. So before we wrap up, and again, like Frank's been great with this time. He does not do a lot of interviews. No, he's not replacing my former co-host, but I will say I'm going to bust his chops. He's going to come back. But before we see you next time or hear from you next time, Frank, my question to you is, who are you today? What kind of man are you today? Who is Frank today?
Enjoying life. I like a lot of things. I'm friends with a lot of different people that I wouldn't be back in the day.
Good point.
College coaches. I go to a lot of football games, baseball games, nice. Mostly college. Nice. My friends, I listen to people. I hang out with people who are more, blue collar.
Yeah.
I learn a lot. Fishing. People work on fishing boats and.
Nice.
And a lot of military as well. It depends on where I'm living at the time. I live in 2 different places. And one place, for example, I hang out with ex-military, Marines, Navy, ex-Navy SEALs, because that's the area.
Yeah.
And they're a lot of good friends. I've known them for like close to 15, 13 years now.
Nice.
So I hang out with a lot of ex-military. Then when I get to the other side, where sometimes when I'm out there, I catch a Washington Husky game with a couple of software guys who work at Microsoft,
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so basically, I'm not hanging out with gangsters, if that's what you mean. I've talked to a couple, old friends, but that's real brief.
Yeah. Now, obviously, military respectfully was a bit more honorable than Cosa Nostra. But my question is,
it's funny. I have a friend that's an ex Navy SEAL.
Yeah.
And I mean the bullshit that surrounds the mafia genre is crazy. I got a Navy SEAL. He goes to me. He's an ex Navy SEAL because I've never met one that was active. I usually I haven't.
Yeah.
So, so I told him, well, I was in the witness protection program. He goes, well, are you supposed to tell anybody that? I go, well, are you supposed to tell anybody you're a fucking Navy SEAL? So he was more surprised by me than me being my end. These fucking guys are crazy, and they're lanky and they're athletic. If you ever seen them, most of them are. And they're a little wiry too.
And they're weird. They're like not like.
They're weird. Yeah, they definitely are.
Yeah,
their tattoos are weird too.
Yep, and like they're not like built per se, but they like kill you with their pinky. It's weird. It's like
well, they're built like safeties or pitches.
Yeah.
Most of them. I met one that's about 5'10", 5'11", probably a short 5'10".
Yeah.
And he was at one time he was a state wrestling champion.
Interesting.
Yeah, he's always fucked up. Every time he used to come in town, he was one of them that we knew was active. We'd have to go pick him up at the topless bars because he was fucking wrecked.
Oh Jesus! Now, now again, I know that the Army is obviously much more honorable than Cosa Nostra, but did you find a certain kinship with these guys? You came from an organization, granted different. They came an organization. Were they like almost how do I say this? Were they almost like not impressed, but were they like, oh my God, tell me about it, and like maybe you guys?
Yeah. I got a friend of mine that spent 20 years in Afghanistan. My friend Mike, and not 20 years, 20-year Marine. I'm sorry, he did two
tours,
two deployments, and that over there. And he's always one time he was having trouble with his wife's ex, so he goes, I'd love to beat the fuck, but I'm not like you guys back home. I said, what the fuck you told me? You're a lot tougher than I am.
Yeah.
He was just, it was in jest.
Yeah.
But I think it's the Hollywood persona.
Good point. Now,
I feel that they're the toughest guys know, and so these guys are monsters.
Yeah, there's a belief, and I heard it before, that I don't know if you know, in the earlier days, a lot of wise guys wind up serving, so Nam and that kind of stuff, and it's a belief that like some guys were like, oh, maybe for what they wanted wise guys to join some sort of like Army and that kind of stuff prior to joining, because it gives you discipline and it gives you kind of like a different outlook on an organization versus if you're like a street guy and you roll into an organization, you might not have that discipline. You know what I mean?
I don't know. It's crazy. I think World War II opened that door for guys that were like first or second generation Italian. But this whole mafia thing, especially in the early 20th century, was really anarchistic. I mean, anti-government, anti-police, and pretty much nobody's going to tell us what we do. We do it very, very, and now it's pretty right wing.
Well, that's
that was pretty right wing. I mean, if you ask probably 600 wise guys who they prefer to be president or who they want as president, they'll tell you it's Trump.
Yeah. I always wondered that, because the Democrats, leaner sentences, bleeding hearts in general, but the Republicans are law and order, and they're the establishment. But typically, the whole idea of Cosa Nostra was to be against the establishment, yet current wise guys are mostly Republican. I've always wondered that,
Well, it wasn't always like that. Yeah. I mean, Kennedy came in, Robert Kennedy fucked us.
Yeah.
He was a Democrat. The Democrats that of yesteryear, the blue collar ones now are the moderate Republicans today.
Yeah.
Most wise guys I knew at one time were, blue collar Democrats. Now they're like the Bushes, they were terrible. The first one, anyhow. I don't remember any Italian wise guy liking that guy.
Yeah.
It's just the signs of the times. The whole concept of the mob or what it started is different today than it was a long time ago.
Does the mob, I'm going to say utility or use, does the mob have any like whether we like it or not? There was always some reason for the mob, right? Some utility, right? Whether it was protect the neighborhood, back in the day, protect the wealthy landowners. That's what people don't understand. The mafia didn't start out poor. Mafia started out as protecting landowners who were wealthy, and they in turn took over and they became wealthy and honored, right? So that's the other part too.
They extorted and they stole. No, I don't know. It was always a dirty business, you know. But it was more honor among thieves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was never honor among thieves, but if there was a time where they had a little bit more, that was the time.
Got it. Now,
well, 1931 when they started that whole commission shit.
Yeah. Now, but what I'm saying is moving forward, future, is there really a role for the mob or not really in society, in the American society at least?
Today?
Yeah.
You got to be crazy to be in the mob, I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, especially with technology today, the way it is.
True.
There's cameras freaking everywhere. I mean, you know, state of the art. Everybody has state of the art cameras that ring every time. What are you gonna do? I mean, you gotta be afraid to go make some money, make a deal, or forget about even whacking. So I'm not even talking about that.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Now
you got your phone. Your phone will tell anybody where you're at. I mean, you got the triangulation, you got the pings, you got all that crap.
You can't even do anything. So and
no.
As far as evolving, you don't see the mob evolving around, like surviving despite these challenges, right?
Hey, look, I'm not hating on them. They can try it. I think it's a bad idea. That's all.
Got it. Now we'll wrap it up. What does the future look for Frank Fiordilino?
Oh, nothing in slow motion right now, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll take it as it comes. Been doing that.
Love it. Well, listen, thank you.
Yeah, I'm 51, and
yeah,
I don't know. I'm surprised I even made it this far.
Love it. Every day above ground is a good day, you know?
Exactly.
So, Frank, listen, a true honor and privilege to have you on. Again, Frank
Thank you.
Does not do a lot of interviews. He popped on for a second one. We don't know when there's going to be a third. Him and I are in touch. He has some great things happening. So there were certain things he couldn't speak to. He wasn't being evasive, and when he can, trust me, if he can, he will. And Frank, you've been great, and I'll speak to you soon, buddy.
Thank you, Tom.
My pleasure.